Welcome to The Cut, a series where I'm talking to experts about how small changes can have a big impact on patient outcomes after surgery. Welcome back, Philippe, in our next episode, which is talking about post-discharge surveillance. And I remember in the original episode you mentioned your Move Up app, which is quite an exciting and innovative device that you've developed in your clinical practice to improve post-discharge surveillance of your own patients. So tell me, Philippe, how did this come about and how has it improved outcomes for your patients?
In 2015, we developed an application based on my experience in my daily practice. And I was doing an MBA with two engineers and a lawyer. When you start a venture, it's very important to have a lawyer on board. And the two engineers were active, one in data and one in quality control. He was working for a television company, and he told me that every television that went out the fabric was subject to a lot of controls. When we do surgeries, when we don't check on our patients in an outpatient setting, we see them back at 2 months, and what happens between the surgery or between discharge and the 2 months, you're not aware of. So we wanted to have a system where we could check on a daily basis, coach our patients on a daily basis, anticipate on possible problems, and that's how we developed the Move Up system. It's an application the patient needs to register for. He gets a virtual care team that does a follow-up on him on a daily basis, which is asynchronous. So the patient feeds the system with data. We collect over 400 points, data points per patient on a continuous basis. That includes wearable data, questions, images, videos, pictures, and so on. And that allows the virtual team to follow them up on a very consistent base, and where the team can escalate towards medical doctors, towards the surgeon via a very intelligent system. And it's currently a medical device. It's registered in Europe, so it can be used throughout the world, and it allows our patients to go home very rapidly, which is the day itself or the day after surgery, very confident, without taking a risk of discharging them very rapidly.
So tell me, Philippe, how has it improved the wound healing outcome? So have you been able to monitor when complications may occur? Can you pick them up earlier?
Yes, indeed. Wound complications, since we've been using that system, we anticipated on possible wound complications. Patients are asked on a daily basis about their wounds, so they need to report. And that means the patient is empowered. If the patient is not responding, he knows he will not get feedback, and he might be the person in charge who is responsible for a possible bad evolution. So we empower the patients to answer the questions on a daily basis, and because there is a virtual team behind it, they get an answer or they get feedback on a daily basis as well. And that enhances not only the care, but it enhances the patient's experience. And if there is any issue, the patient can take a picture, send a message, a chat message, that one of the team gets on his smartphone. So a very rapid decision making is possible through that system. So if there is any issue,
great.
Yeah, it is fantastic. Patients do love it. They feel very secure, and we as doctors, we are not confronted anymore with patients that have been treated with antibiotics because a GP was a bit afraid of a possible wound complications. We actually do even more evidence-based care, which is cheaper for society because we encounter less complications.
It's a really interesting story. And obviously you've been working in this area since 2015. Have you found that other places are adapting similar strategies?
We've been traveling around and talking to a lot of colleagues. I'm a member of different international societies where there's a huge interest in using that system. A pity in Europe is that patients are not used to pay for extra care, which is remote care, and the systems in Europe are changing a little bit thanks to COVID, thanks between brackets to COVID, but it's very slow. And now we think as some other parts of the world, and I think Australia might be a good idea, but US as well, are more open for these new technologies. And I think if these countries can adopt it, well, other countries will follow as well. So we're busy with the international expansion to improve the care for our patients worldwide, but the regulatory, yes, the systems in the countries, they are a bit static, and I think the traditional care, the change of traditional care is something that is not easy to implement.
What do you think are the major barriers that you face in trying to sort of share or implement this strategy? There are already a number of organisations around the world, and there's lots of hospitals and clinics here that do similar things. What is it that you think is going to enable the adoption of this type of remote monitoring in the post-surgical journey for the patient?
I think the organizations, international, national organizations responsible for wound care and so on, should lobby within the different healthcare organizations to implement this as a standard. I think it's so important. It avoids a lot of issues. It's a very cost reduction tool for these countries. So I think the organizations should indeed be involved with national security, national social security systems to implement new technologies, digital follow-up tools in their daily practice.
I think that's a really great idea, and it's fairly obvious that it's a multidisciplinary approach. So it's not just surgery, it's not just nursing, it's engaging all the stakeholders in the entire surgical journey. And I like how you mentioned sort of the peak organisations that need to get behind and drive this type or model of care. And at the end of the day, it's about the patient, isn't it? So Philippe, tell me, how do your patients feel when they have access to this type of technology compared to when this type of technology hasn't been around before?
Patients do embrace new technologies. It's like robotic surgery now in knee replacement. Patients are looking for that. Likewise, they're looking for the use of digital tools in their daily follow-up. I must say, even the older population, which is above 75, they really like it because they're used to Facebook with their grandchildren. They're used to being connected. And most of my patients now, they think it's just logical. There is a continuous follow-up post-surgery. So it's perceived very well. Patients feel really secure. And again, COVID has helped to implement and to make patients conscious that digital technologies should be used in a very intelligent way in daily practice.
So it's the way of the future, do you think, Philippe?
It's definitely the future. No, actually it's not the future. It's what's being implemented now. I think we need to expand throughout the world with the aid of organizations like you've set up an organization to convince patients, surgeons, nurses, and the healthcare policymakers that new technologies should be included in the full package.
Agreed, because it needs to be following that entire patient surgical journey, and it's not just when they arrive in the hospital, it's what happens before and also after they've had their procedure. But it's been great to talk to you today, Philippe, and I wish you all the best with your Move Up app and it's been a joy.
Much appreciated. Thank you.